Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today we're going to try to fix up this Apple MacBook Pro. This is a 2011 model and the model number is A1278. This is actually my one and this is determined not to work properly, but it's different faults all the time. So this was only fixed a few days ago and it was a problem on the motherboard with trace damage. Now, it does work perfectly if I just have one RAM slot in use. If I try to use two RAM slots and I'm under the total amount of 16 gigabytes, then it refuses to boot. So right now I've got both RAM slots in, and check this out. If I turn it on here, you will hear what it does. There we go, look at what it says here. Your computer restarted because of a problem. Please press a key or wait a few seconds to continue starting up. And if I press a key, yeah, it's not happy, is it? Right, now, if I take that RAM slot out, other times when I did this, it just was doing the beeping. Now, look at this, and it's not a faulty RAM one here. Okay, so now, watch this, take that one out. Oh, it's still spinning, 1 second, let me hold down the power button. Right, okay, it's turned itself off now and turn it back on. So now it will boot up perfectly. Right, you can see that it's come on here. Right, I'm just going to shut it down and then I'm going to move that RAM to the top slot and you will see it won't work again. But normally what it does, it just gives me the beeps to let me know there's an error with the RAM. So watch this. We know this one's working, you've just seen it working. Take this one out. Off the bottom slot, and pop it into the top one. That's fully seated in there. Down, clicks into place nicely. Right, let's see if it does the beep this time. There we go. How weird is that? So there's something wrong with that top RAM slot where it either does this or it comes up with that error message. Take it apart and see if we can find out what's going on with this area here. So I've pulled the battery out now. There's various ribbon cables and loads of screws to undo. So let me just whiz through that. While I'm doing that, let's give a shout out to the My Mate Vince Massive. This month that consists of kitdigital.com, Kip Hakes, Max Rokotansky, Having Fun Repairs, Ellensburg Amplifier Repair and Service, Will Michaelis, Chris Seal, Dorian from Hooverlux Restorations, Felipe at MrKeebs.com, Dan Protton, and King Kurd from Lowbook Auto Sales. Right, okay, we have the board out. So what I want to do is, I want to have a real close look. We know, let's get this right now. Which one is it? So it's this slot here which is faulty, not this side here. So let's have a close look in here and see if we can see anything wrong with the pins. Also, let's have a look where it's actually soldered to the board. Is it through hole? Goes through there. Not too sure. Let's have a close look. Right, so these are the ones we're looking at. And they spring downwards. Well, they all look okay. Well, they're all perfect and they all look to be in the right position. Now, is there anything the other side? There is. It's hard to see those ones. There's a bit of crud in that one, but that's the one. That's the working one. I think they look okay. Let's see how they're soldered on. They're all soldered onto the board there. And is there more pins behind that? Yes, but I can't see them. look this side here. Right, they're all intact. I wonder if all these pins are responsible just for that top row, or whether it's the top and bottom row off this top slot. Let's get our meter and go to continuity and see if we can work that out. So when I hit the leads together, they're going to beep. So let's go on to this one here. See where it comes up. Right, so that's the second one. It might be easy for me to do from here. So the second one's here. The second one here is just going to be here, isn't it? Yeah, they're just all for those ones there. Yeah, unfortunately, they're just all for the top ones. Right, that's going to be a little bit awkward because that row there is completely hidden. Right inside. Okay, I'm just going to undo these and see what happens. Yeah, so it does look like it's in two halves, because when I lift up here you can see that it's breaking along here. So I think they are in two halves. It's just that because they're all soldered on, you're not going to be able to have any movement on here. Yeah, I don't think it's a problem with the RAM slot itself or the soldering, but of course it could be underneath that. I'm not going to be able to see that. Yeah, you can see much further in there. So that's a bit of a pain. And of course they're hidden top and bottom by each other's RAM slot. So the pins for this one's hidden by this RAM slot and the pins for this one's hidden by that RAM slot. Well, I suppose the first thing I'm going to do is get some IPA and just clean in here, just in case, although the bottom pins look, these pins look fine, the ones that you can clearly see, they look fine. I'm not so sure about the ones up here. If they were a bit tarnished, I might not necessarily see it, because maybe on here, depending on, I suppose, the pin that's not making a contact might be very important. Maybe every single pin has to make a contact, otherwise it will fail completely. Rather than just maybe not operating at its full capacity. So just using some isopropyl alcohol and a little flux brush. Let's give it a good clean. And I'm going to get the RAM and push it in and out to try to clean it up. And I'm just going to spray a little bit of canned air in there. Right, I might as well put these screws back in because I can't see that that's going to make any difference at all. I'm going to put it back together just to see if that's made any difference. Right, so let's just put it in the top slot, the one that wasn't working. Let's see if it does anything now. No. So it's not a cleaning issue. And I've looked up that amount of beeps. I've just turned it off now. But 1, 2, 3 is definitely to do with RAM. Now, what could be causing it? There is something that's on my mind that I might address. When I did the repair on the previous video on this little bit up here, let me zoom in. On this bit here, I did add a resistor just, let me see, where's it gone now? This resistor here, I did add that resistor, and that wasn't there previously. It's just that work had been done here before, and I wasn't sure whether it was the previous person or me that may have knocked the resistor off. But you can see there's lots of empty pads when you look around the place. There is empty pads pretty much all over the board. It's just that on the schematics it did show a resistor there, and that's why I put a 10. I think this was a 10k resistor, that's why I put it in. I think I'm going to take that off just in case it was never meant to be there. And I'm just going to put a tiny bit of flux on this area. If you're wondering what the green stuff is, that's solder mask to protect the previous repair. But luckily it's not on this resistor that I want to take off. Right, I'm going to use some hot air. And I'm going 480 degrees Celsius and 4 out of a possible 8 on the airflow. Right, zoom in. Right, it came off nice and easy. Yeah, that's okay, and the solder mask is still rock hard there. So I'm going to put it back together and see if it's doing the same thing again now. No. How weird is that? What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it like that and see if it boots when it's like that in the bad slot. So let's try it like that to begin with, and then do different levels up and down. Right, okay, so it's recognising the RAM, but it's not reading it, because I think when there's no RAM it just gives one beep. Right, let's turn it off. Right, we're off. Now I'm going to push it down to there. Do it again. This might tell me if it's a mechanical problem here. Right, did you hear that? That kicked in that time. So it did a little bit more. But yeah, it's not booting. I'm going to turn it off and go down to here. No. Right, off again. And now I'm going to go all the way down past where it normally clips into place. No, so it doesn't like it there. But it definitely reads it in different amounts depending on where it is, because it went to that initial little startup where this kicks in. Wonder, is it a... I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's undo these screws. I wonder if it's a problem with the pins rather than something on the board. Let's loosen up these. Oh, look at this now. Ah, we've got like a no entry sign. Right, okay. Let's turn it off. Oh, now it's there. Is it going to boot? Don't think so. Right, what can I do here? Should I try putting pressure on it here? No. Thing is, it's definitely doing different stuff when I'm holding it around here and putting pressure on it. And I'm just going to try to lift it up a bit. Lift it up here. In fact, let me get something and wedge it in there. Well, this should be alright here because it's not touching any components right here. So let's just use the tweezers here. Now I wonder whether I was just being led on a wild goose chase with all the different angles where it was doing something different. So I'm going to hold this here now and see if it tries to boot. No, see that's the thing, this could be all just coincidence that for that minute it was trying to boot better than it is now. It's not a major big deal because even if you wanted to upgrade it, we could just put 16 gigabytes in here. It's just that I'd like to find out if I can what the problem is. Right, one thing has crossed my mind. Originally, when I got this laptop, it had 2 gigabytes of RAM in each slot, and I think it wasn't the L version. You know, this is like DDR3L. You can see there PC3L. Let me try the old version just in case it's something to do with the voltage. Maybe that will give me more of a clue. Yeah, so this is just PC3. Let's see if this boots in that slot. No, well that's good. Right, I'm going to look on board view and the schematics, see if I can work it out at all. Maybe they go to different places on the board, or maybe they both go to the same place. I think I need to try to understand a bit more what happens from these RAM slots going in. Also, I might be able to test it. There might be certain capacitors or something on the board that they go from here, and that could possibly tell me if I can go from the pins to the capacitor, where if it's getting there. You know, I appreciate they're not all going to be going to capacitors, but they might be all going to somewhere where I can easily test from. I doubt it, but it's worth looking. So after looking online, most of the suggestions are people sticking in bits of credit card and stuff to pack out the board more because the pins are on their way out, the pins are loose. So I presume cold solder joints, if this has got knocked or dropped, or maybe even just leaning on the keyboard repeatedly year after year, maybe it flexes the board and then adds to the cold solder joints. So I tried doing little bits of cardboard and stuff in different locations, see if it would make a difference. It didn't, not in my instance. So I went more to the theory of the cold solder joints. So this is all fast forwarded through because this video would be incredibly long if I did it all the things I attempted in real time. So what I did is I put flux all over the connection and I applied heat to it for quite a long time. I didn't want to burn the plastic off the RAM slots because remember, as I keep saying, this is a working laptop. It's just curiosity as to why really I want this second RAM slot to actually work. It works just fine with 8 gigabytes in the one slot. But after applying heat and flux for a long time, it still didn't make a difference. I was hoping that at the very least, if they didn't reflow, that it might have got rid of some gunk or corrosion in between the pins, because I think this board previously, because it was a spares and repair off eBay, I think it was previously subjected to water damage, and an area like that, which is hard to clean, would be a good location for water to sit and then cause corrosion. Unfortunately, this didn't make any difference. So then what I tried to do is get a soldering iron and then I tried to reflow the pins that I could see, add fresh solder to it, and it was quite hard because the soldering iron wasn't really getting to a hot enough temperature to allow it to flow down into the holes. So I added solder to each of the pins, and again I added flux and then hot air again, and the solder did flow down into it. But remember, there's a load of pins that I can't see that are hidden. So I can only reflow what I can see. I can't add solder to the bits that I can't see. So that's where we are in that part of the video, and then I turn my attention to back online because I'm not winning with any of the suggestions that I've seen so far or with any of the fault finding. So this next part of the video is me looking back online. Okay, so I've got a bit of a development and it's not good news. So what I've been doing is I've been putting the RAM slot into the actual board, and then that gives me access to the inside pins because I could just use a needle and just tap it on the exposed bits of pins that are on the RAM slot. So it goes into the connector, but there's still about 1 millimetre of contact showing. So I've been putting a needle on there, and then I've been going onto the different parts of the board to see where they come up. Now, as far as I can see, most of them do seem to be coming up. I can't test all of them, but most of them do seem to be coming up on the ones that I can test. So I had a look on Google, and I did come across this here, which was quite interesting. Now, it's not my particular board, but what I did is I typed in J2900, and that is the actual RAM slot on mine that's faulty. And it says here that they're working on a liquid damaged board that worked okay for a bit and then began having issues. And they're basically saying that the top RAM slot, that's the one, my one, J2900, is not working at all. The board beeps if RAM is installed in the top slots at all, works fine, only bottom slot occupied, so it's basically the same as mine. Now, he's done various different things, and then a couple of people responded to it saying that RAM lines go to the CPU, etc. But then he did put this. Look, he said, however, I decided to reflow the CPU, and the RAM slot is now working properly. We'll see how long this lasts, but I believe there must have either been, won't say that word, under the CPU, or maybe even a cracked solder ball trace there. After reflowing it a bit, the top slot is working well again. Now, there's no way that I'm going to reflow it because the actual computer is working fine. I'm not going to risk ruining it just for the sake of a RAM slot that doesn't really need to be used. But look, there's an interesting development. When I put pressure on the CPU, it doesn't beep. And the odd time I actually get the Apple logo come up. So I think I've got the same problem as SMM Repair. So that's what's so good about forums. And this is on the borsrossmanngroup.com. So yeah, it's really, really useful when people post stuff like this because it saves other people so much time. Let me show you what I found. Right, so you can see I've got the RAM in the top slot. The easiest way for me to do it is to have the battery out. You won't see the screen, but you won't hear the beeps. Now, watch this. If I put this in here, when it's just normal, you'll hear the beeps. Okay, and it's not just a coincidence, that happens every single time, so plug it back in again. Yep, now watch this. Put lots of pressure down on here, lots of pressure. Do it again, and it won't beep. I am putting a huge amount of pressure down. And so it's going to be a dodgy ball under the CPU. There's going to be hundreds under there. Yep. Now I'll try to do it by plugging this in, but I've done it about 5 times, and once I did get the Apple logo up. Let me just try it once, see if I can do it on camera. Probably won't do it now. Right, here goes. So lots of pressure down, and press it in. Right, the fan's on. Okay, but nothing's coming up now. You can actually see that the fan stopped. Right, let's try that again. I'm wary doing this because I could end up bending it even more and causing more problems. But you can hear it's not beeping. Well, if I hold down the power button to kill it. Okay, so it's stopped now. And do it when there's nothing connected. I mean, without pressure on it. Yeah, so you can see it's getting further. You just have to take my word for it that it came up with the Apple logo. But then what happens is I release pressure a bit and then it went all blocky and seized up. Do you know what? I know this is idiotic and I know I said I wouldn't do it. But I've spent a long time on this one again. And I want to know the outcome. So what I am going to do is I am going to apply heat to this CPU. I know that's ridiculous. But when I put pressure down there, it's definitely doing something different. So let's put some flux on it and see what happens. quite like to take off these corner bits if possible, this kind of glue. Add a bit of IPA to that, it might come off easier. I'm just keeping my voice down because it's late at night here now. And everybody's in bed. Right, now on something like this, I don't think I'm going to tap it because the balls are so small underneath. By me tapping it, I'll probably end up shortening them together. Remember, at this moment in time, this laptop does work. That's why it's idiotic doing this. But my daughter, who was using this, is using the MacBook Air more, the water damaged one. Somehow that's still working. So I don't think, I'm not even going to know if this is going to be properly reflowed, but let's do it until this kind of like smoking and stuff. I've got some flux around the edge there. It's nice and flat. I'm just going to get some extraction on, and we're going to get the airflow right up. I'm going to go 7 out of 8. I'm going to go to 480 degrees Celsius, and let's see what happens. Right, I've got my fan ready to go. Let's do this. Just trying to get the flux to flow underneath it. Right, I don't think this is coming anywhere near to reflowing, but yet the flux is bubbling underneath it. So if there was corrosion under there, that might have cleaned it up. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. Just do another 20 seconds for good luck. Right, I'm going to let that completely cool before I touch it, then I'm going to clean it with IPA, and then we'll put it back together, and no matter what, I'm finishing the video there, whether it's working or not working. That is it. Right, here goes. Oh, apprehensive. Do you know what, I use the lower RAM, just in case it somehow damages it. Right, that still fits in there. Right, let's see what happens. Do you know what, I bet it doesn't even turn on. I bet it doesn't even beep. Let's see. Right, we're in. Come on now. Is the fan spinning? Yes, fan spinning. Right, okay. Do you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy that it's beeping. Please let it still work in this one. Come on now. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes, come on, light up. Fantastic. Ooh, I'm relieved. Right, okay, I'm putting this back together. You ready? You're not going to believe this. I've put the screws and stuff in, put little Captain tape over the connectors here to make sure they weren't going to come loose. And I thought, I'll just put the 8 gig and the 4 gig in now that all the screws are done up, just to see if it works. Turned it on, first time, worked, and it's showing as 12 gigabytes of memory. Look. Unbelievable. What is that about? So I'm going to shut it down and turn it on a few more times just to see if it stays like that. Right, let's see if it does it again. Yeah, it's going to work. How bizarre is that? Now, of course, I should just leave that be. But I'm wondering, I'm going to take it in and out a few more times. I'm wondering if maybe the reheat did help. And now that the screws and everything are back in, it's kind of warped the board a little bit into the correct position. Let's see now, when it's all in, whether it will work in just the one slot. Yes, it is. It's going to do it. Unbelievable. Yeah, look at it. And there's no artifacts or anything. Yeah, there it is. Right, I'm just going to shut down again. Right, I am going to... The only other thing I've done is put fresh thermal paste on. It's not going to be that. I am going to put the other bit of RAM in there and put the back cover on. Unbelievable. Just give one more go. Yep, it's going to work. Brilliant. Right, okay, let's get the cover back on and finish up the video. So I've been listening to a bit of You Can Call Me Al. It's been a long time since I've heard that one. And also a bit of Monkeys. And it's all been working just fine. If I go up here and go to About This Mac, you can still see it's registering under memory 12 gigabytes, 4 and 8. So how good is that? So if there is ever a case of he who dares wins, as Del Boy used to say, then this is it. The problem is it was extremely risky doing that, and if I'm honest with you, I wouldn't have done that if it was going to be not filmed. I did that for an ending to make it more entertaining for the video, to sort of prove the fault once and for all. Now it looks like heating up that CPU has done it. Would there have been a bit of corrosion underneath the pins that got rid of it? If that's the case, why then when I put it back on did it still not work? Why did it take me to do up all the screws before it worked? Is this just a coincidence, and in a few days time is it going to fail again? Not too sure. I mean, it was faulty in the first place with all the screws in, so it must have been something to do with heating up the CPU. Really, really strange. Unless, of course, by heating up the CPU, I kind of put a slight warp or something on the board, and then by screwing it in, it just happened to warp in the correct way. Don't know. Really weird one there. Thanks for sticking with me. I know it's going to be a bit of a long video. Hope you found it somewhat entertaining. Really, I just got very, very lucky at the end, didn't I? And I would have preferred it if I could have found something that was definite, and I definitely fixed it, because right now it's all a bit up in the air. Yes, it's working, but what have I really done to make it work? But still, that's what happens sometimes with fixes. If it fails again in the future, it can always be featured in another video. This is the laptop that keeps on giving as far as videos are concerned. So yeah, that is it. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you very soon in another Trying to Fix video. Take care, everyone.
Can't the city lights. This ain't where I belong. Hey, look at me, man, what I become. I've been running east, looking for a sunset, digging deep since '99. What I thought was gone was sitting in my pocket in plain sight all along. I think it's time for me to go, burn all bridges. All I know, I got lost along the way, fell between the foam, pulling stitches. Time to let go, so come what may. Don't look before you leave. What you give, you get to keep. So long, farewell, bye-bye. Let's have a toast for those lost old lives.